Hi everyone, my name is Marley Clark, and today I'm going to be talking with you a little bit about an add-on for Google that's called Flubaroo. So what Flubaroo does is it actually allows you to grade one of your Google Forms and give those grades back to your students. It also helps with differentiation. So the first thing that you're going to need in order to work with Flubaroo is you're going to have a form. So I went ahead and I created a form that I would actually use in my classroom. I'm a high school chemistry teacher. So what this is just a periodic table entrance ticket. So a couple of my questions, we can see first name, last name, email address. That's just to identify the students and send back their grades. And you can see that they have these little stars, meaning those are required. And then I have a series of 5 questions that go along with the periodic table. So in order for Flubaroo to work, what you're going to need is a minimum of 3 responses. And I can see that I have these responses already. I can see that the first names are listed here, Billy, Jill, and Johnny, and their last names and everything like that I'm going to need for them. So after you have that ready for your form, what you have to do as the teacher in order for Flubaroo to work is to come up with your answer key. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Up here we have our I, which is the preview button. I'm going to go ahead and click that. And this brings me to the quote-unquote live form, the one that actually works and collects those answers. What I found to be the best way of finding your answer key is to make your first name answer, your last name key, and you can put in your email address if you so wish, or you can type in anything you want. So I'm just going to put not in there. Then what you want to do, of course, is go through and answer these questions correctly. So make sure you have those. That can be a little bit of a hassle if you have a lot of questions, and here I only have 5, so it goes pretty quick. So my least reactive, just go through and get these quickly, and then I'm going to go ahead and click submit. So now I have my answer key. So then in order to have Flubaroo work, what I want to do is I want to take a look at my responses. So where it says responses, we have this little button, and this little button is going to bring me to my spreadsheet. So I'm going to go and create my new spreadsheet, and it's going to be named the exact same thing as my form is, and I'm going to click create. And when I do that, I can see all of my responses. You can see that they're time-stamped. They're organized by their first name, last name, email address, and then we have the answers to all of our questions here. So just those 5 questions are going to be on there. So the next thing that we want to do is I want to actually grade this, and this is where Flubaroo is going to come in handy. So you're going to go to this add-ons button right here, click add-ons, and then I'm going to type in get add-ons. And the one that I want to use is Flubaroo. And Flubaroo is this little guy with our apple. So I'm going to click on him, click free. And you're going to have to authorize these permissions. And I'm going to allow. And now everything should be working on Flubaroo. Fantastic. And if you want to, you can go through and look at all that, but I'll just walk you through this process. So again, kind of redundant here, I'm going to click on add-ons. Now I can see that Flubaroo is sitting right here, and of course I want to grade my assignment. I want to see how these 3 kids did on this periodic table entrance ticket. So now that I've clicked grade assignment, it's going to ask me about all my questions. You can see here I have the list of all my questions here. It says normal grading, and it's going to be 1 point apiece. And on the top, it recognizes the first name, last name, and email address as a student identifier. You can also go in there and click some other options in case you don't want all of these to be graded right away. You could do skip grading, you could do normal grading, which you would never want to do obviously for first name or last name, or grade by hand, which is a new option that has come out in the last few weeks, and it's actually really cool, especially if you're going to be doing short answer, because otherwise that gets a little bit difficult to grade those short answers. So I'm just going to leave that as identify student. Everything else is going to be normal grading, and then I'm going to go down here and click save. Sorry, you can't really see that. My next step is I need to figure out what my answer key is. I really don't want to have Billy, Jill, or Johnny be the answer key. It's actually most beneficial to do your answer key before you even let any of your kids go in here and actually answer questions. The reason being, this is organized by the submission time. You can't change that as of right now. So you can see I did my answer key last, where in this case I only have 3 other submissions. That's not a big deal. But when you have 75 submissions, you definitely want to be the first one on that list, or else you're going to be searching around for a while. So I'm going to click my answer key as my answer key, and I'm going to click continue. And it's going to grade my assignment right away for me, and it'll tell me right when I'm done. So Flubaroo grading has been complete. Excellent. I'm going to just X out of this, and now I can see my grades. So if you take a look at the bottom, I can still see my student submissions where I can physically see how all my students answered, but now Flubaroo has made this grades tab. So I'm going to click on the grades again. You can see that there were 5 total points. My average was a 3.3. I had 3 counted submissions and 1 low scoring submission. So another interesting thing about Flubaroo, and this can help with differentiation, is it tells you a lot about each individual student. Notice how Johnny Abbott is showing up in red. That means Johnny did not pass, as in he got a D or an F on this particular assignment. So the cutoff for being black is you are that 70%. If you're under 70%, it automatically turns red to notify the teacher that there was a bit of a problem. So I can see that Billy got an 80, I can see Jill got 100, and Johnny's going to need a little bit of support, and he needs to bring that grade up, so he only has that 20%. So right there, that's a good indication, okay, we need some help. Right away, I know that I'm going to have to pull Johnny out and have a little help time with him and get him up to par with these other 2 students. So I'm going to spend more one-on-one time with Johnny versus Jill and Billy. We can see how many points they each got correct, the times they submitted, so sometimes you might allow them to do that more times. Email grade, we'll come back to that in just a little bit. And then we can see the results of all 5 of our questions. We can see that this one, they did very well. The which group of the periodic table is, I think this one was most reactive. So that was, we got that 100% in there. And our other questions got a 66, so that's kind of low, but not the worst when we're only dealing with 3 students. But we do see this question here that is showing up in an orange. That orange indicates to us that that is a very low scoring question, and it actually tells you that we only have a 33.33%. This is another great way to implement some sort of differentiation into your lessons, because we see that we as a group need to help on this type of question. Johnny might need help on almost all these types of questions. So you're getting not only one-on-one feedback, but you're also getting group feedback. So this one would probably tell the teacher, hey, that concept probably wasn't taught the best, and we need to go over that, reteach it, and come at it from a different angle. Over here, this is telling me Johnny either wasn't paying attention, didn't do his work, or just doesn't understand something, and he needs that one-on-one support. So now as I go back to this email grade, another cool aspect of Flubaroo is the fact that I can email my students the grades. So again, I'm going to go back up to this add-ons tab. I'm going to click that. Flubaroo again. I have the option to regrade the assignment. So if I have another student who submits their answers after I've graded it after that first time, all I have to do is simply click the regrade assignment button. It's going to save all of my questions so it knows if it's normal grading, identifying students, or whatnot. I will have to re-pick out my answer key, and then you'll get your grades, and all of the summary information will change to reflect that new grade. And then another option is the share grades. So with this share grades, this is going to be emailing to my students what they got. So I'll click that. It's going to work for a little bit, and then you're going to have some options. So with this, it recognizes right away that we had an email address, otherwise it'll pull up any other questions that it thought might have gone with that. You can share via email, you can share via Google Drive, or share with both. I typically use the email. You can choose to include your list of questions and scores. You can include an answer key, and you can also include a message, but I'm not going to do that. And just because you guys can't see this, I'm not going to press the button down here. but you would be able to click and it would send out an email to all these students. The 3 email addresses that are in for these kids are not actual real email addresses, so it's not going to do anything. But once your grades have been emailed, you're going to see that an X shows up in this particular column, so you know who got emailed and who did not. So that's just a little overview of what Flubaroo is and the power that Flubaroo can have when you're talking about differentiation. I know quickly who is struggling in my class just from this small entrance ticket, and I also know which areas I need to go back and reteach for my students and where they're struggling. Have a fantastic day.